Now, after understanding as to what consumer behavior is, what are the factors which influence a consumer behavior, knowing the difference which constitutes between an individual consumer and organizational consumer, and trying to distinguish between who a consumer, client, and a customer is, let's understand this concept of what a product is all about and what a service is. Normally, we talk about what any business would do is, as input, it goes about with combining 5 M's that are there as to men, money, machines, materials, and management. There are different modes of conversion, whether you do it through job shop, batch, process, assembly line, or through project or continuous or mass manufacturing. And ultimately, any organization will give you only two things. They either give you goods or they give you services. So, at times it's very difficult to go about with trying to distinguish as to what a product is or what a service is. I mean, for a manufacturer, if I have a water bottle with me, for him it would look like a mold of plastic. But for me, it serves a purpose of holding a liquid, and whenever I feel thirsty, I would like to drink from it. I mean, for a manufacturer, a pen has got different elements which would make a pen. But for me, it serves a purpose of writing. So it's not the same thing as to where the manufacturer looks at it, the way I go about with looking at it. So it's very difficult to go about with trying to draw a distinction between what a product is and what a service is. What we'll try doing in this unit is we'll try explaining what product is. We'll try figuring out what is the classification of products, and also understand, like, just like from our birth to our death, as individuals we move from different stages in life. We are called as newborn, we are called as infants, we are called as child, then we become adult, then we go about with becoming mature men or women, and then we go about becoming old. So we pass through different stages in life. Very much like that, when a manufacturer goes about with introducing a product into the market there, even that goes about with going through various stages there. So we go about with understanding that also in detail. What are the different stages a product goes through right from its introduction till a point where you feel that the product is no more viable, no one is buying it anymore, or you want to go about with discontinuing with that product. So we look into some of those things there. So in this unit, you will be understanding the meaning and the definition of product. We will classify product into different categories, and we will also understand what are the steps that are involved in the new product development. And not all new products go about with surviving. Many of them, even if they don't reach the last stage, they die. So that is where it is we are trying to figure out what are the reasons for failure of a new product. So we look at it one by one. So first things first, as to what a product is. Product is first and a very important variable in marketing mix. So if you just recollect what you have studied in your previous modules, we say that product, price, place, promotion, the 4 P's. If you put it together, we call it the marketing mix. And additionally, I request the students also to know there are many more P's that are there. And when it is to do with services, there are additional P's like people, processes, physical evidence, and productivity. And what really is very prominent or important or significant when it comes with services is the people element, right? The ones who go about it serving, the ones who are service providers. So again, product is a very important variable. So that's the reason, you could figure out when you say product, I mean a marketing mix too, we give more priority to product to be the first, then it is price, then it is place, then it is promotion. So people, when they purchase a product, they are not only purchasing a product, but they are also buying into the benefits which that product will give. Do you get it? If I buy a television, I buy a mobile phone, I'm not buying a gadget. I mean, a telephone goes about with serving various needs of mine. So that comes as a bundle in that mobile phone or a handset. So I'm not just buying a Samsung or an Apple or any other brand there. I'm buying the benefits which that product will provide me. To put it in other words, you are purchasing what the product will do for you, or the consumers buy with a reason as to what the product will do for them. So when you go to a store to buy a new shirt, you're not simply buying some colored material that is seen together in a particular manner. You're probably buying a product which will look good with another item of clothing. I wear a shirt and a waistcoat. So you already there into it as to your opinion and how you would like to look more attractive. Now, a product is something which is want satisfying. It has got a character, it has got a feature, or it has got an attribute which a consumer receives in exchange. Exchange what? I give money and I get a product. I want a pen, I want a shirt, I want a bike, I want a car, I want a handset. I want to satisfy myself by buying that thing there. So it has got certain features. I mean, there are different models of cars, there are different models of mobile phones, there are different models of bikes, different models of footwear. So the thing is, the product is something which I'm buying because the benefits I get, I mean, it could be the physical or it could be psychological. Just imagine that you're driving a small car, or you drive an Audi or a Mercedes or a BMW or a very expensive one. And why do people buy? It's to do with meeting their esteem needs. So I'm talking about not just the physical attributes, but it also involves what is called as the psychological aspects. So in the past, we had products that were made in the factory, but today products are what consumer wants. So the thing is, there is more of customization. So we don't make products what we can sell, but we go about with making products which the consumers can buy or will buy or are willing to pay for it. So the definition of a product is constantly expanding and changing and includes more than mere bundle of benefits there, right? And the marketer who is successful in understanding that would create better products and the failure rate can be reduced. One definition I'd like to quote of the American Marketing Association, where they say that anything that can be offered to a market for attention, acquisition, consumption, which includes physical objects, services, personal ties, organizations, desires, all this comes in the whole gamut of the word called product. Thus, it can be concluded that product means goods and services. I mean, goods are tangible, services are intangible. They can come in any size, they can come in different colors. The very purpose you give in different sizes and colors is to satisfy the needs and wants of the consumer. In everyday life, we may use different products like toothpaste or newspaper, TV or a watch or a coffee, or it may be a detergent or the university that we possess or prefer to study with, or it could be different kind of pain balms or the services of a barber or a hospital service for health problems or ailments, or we get to a beauty parlor. I mean, all these things come under the banner of product. Now, another thing, there is IPL going on. It gives entertainment to people. There's so much of money being spent there. I mean, even that comes under the definition of the word called product. Now, we got to understand that product has got certain characteristics or features, and these features you got to understand wherein it is to do with various attributes. Attribute is a thing which you can't measure or express in terms of numbers. Attributes are things where you can say presence or absence of it, right? So a product has also got certain things which you can say it has got it or not. I mean, a product is known by its name. That is where we use the word called brand. I mean, you got to distinguish between this word guarantee and warranty. Guarantee is unconditional. If you didn't like a product, you get 100% replacement. Warranty is conditional. So people go about with giving you a lot of caveats, or they go about with putting an asterisk mark. They say conditions apply. So that is a part of a product. I mean, some people say that there is something called as the after sale services of a product. After you buy, something goes wrong, or you want to go about with renewing it, or you would try to go about with changing certain things which are worn out. I buy a water filter, the filter is not working proper, I need to change the candles in it. So is there somebody who can go about with giving me service, which is the product services that are there? And there could be an image which is created by a product. Think about men shaving products, we think about Gillette. I mean, think about health drinks. There are certain names which comes to our mind like Horlicks, Boost, Complan, or whatever. So there is an image which has been carried, and there are some psychological benefits. I mean, we get used to it, and we don't like to do away with that product or that kind of a service there. Or it could be like, I mean, people tend to use the image of Bata. And for an age-old kind of a thing there, it has come to stay in the market. Today, there could be a Nike, there could be a Reebok, or there could be any other brand that is there in the market. And we are also concerned. Let's say I buy a gas stove, I buy a pressure cooker. I'm concerned about the safety. There are times people have purchased mobile phones and it exploded. So I'm concerned about the safety measures of about the product feature also. And again, I'm looking at some special features, and normally you call it for USP. I don't know how many of you all really know when it comes for buying a toothbrush, how much time does it take for you to go about with saying that you'll have to replace a toothbrush? Some say 3 months, some say 6 months. But there is this Oral-B company which goes about saying there are some bristles in a toothbrush which are colored, and some bristles, most of the bristles are uncolored. So when the colored bristles become colorless, there is that time where you replace that brush with another brush that way there. So you're talking about USP. Something which the Santro car scored over Maruti was the top space. For a very long time, Maruti was a very basic small family car, but the thing is, on bumpy roads, the head could collide with the top. And people had gone about with saying that a Santro or Matis or any other brands which came later, the head does not collide with the top. So you're talking about USP. So products have special features. You buy a Nike shoe, they say they have got some springs in the sole which goes about with ensuring that you don't get tired or you don't get into fatigue, or you can go about with doing away with leg ailments if you go about with using. I'm not marketing products. Probably they say that this is something which is there, which is not there in the other products, which we call it as the USP. So to summarize, what are the various product attributes? We talk about the brand, we talk about the guarantee and warranty, the product services, the safety, the intangible psychological benefits you derive. That is mostly to do with branding. When you sell something without a name, we call it generic. When we sell something with a name, we call it brand. So the brand image, the special features which constitute a product, the various attributes, this is something to do with the product attributes. Now the concept of the product is very simple to understand in terms of what buyers buy. Perhaps there is a difference between what the marketers sell and what the buyers would buy. Now services are intangible. They have no physical attributes. Now examples are, you have lawyers who give counseling, doctors who give medical assistance, chartered accountants go about with giving advice about your investments, about your tax deductions and the various claims you can make. And products are marketed, which include physical goods, services, experiences, events, persons. A politician also is to be marketed, right? Then you talk about places, properties, you talk about real estate, organizations, informations, ideas. All these things come under the classification of product there. Now, what are the different product levels or hierarchy, the different levels when you look at? Product hierarchy is a system of categorization that is used to group similar products or services together for ease of identification by the customers. Now, it helps businesses break down whatever they offer as products into distinct lines that can be further divided into mixes. So there is something called as each, like if I take a company called Hindustan Unilever, they are into soaps and detergents, they give quality Walls ice cream, they are into oral care products, they are into cosmetics, they are into beverages. So each one is a product line. Now in the soap line, let's say Rexona is there. They go about with giving you coconut based, sandalwood based, turmeric based. So if I give more variety in that product line, I talk about a word called depth. How many product lines a company constitutes, it's called as the width. So the thing is, all the product lines of a company put together is known as a mix, right? You can study examples of many more conglomerates. Conglomerate is where a company is into more than one product class. Now, let's look at what are these product levels. It looks like that. It's more like the Russian dolls that are there, wherein you remove one doll, you get another doll inside. You remove one doll, you get another doll inside. It's more like that. We understand that a product has got 5 levels in it. The basic core, the internal part of a product is called as core product. Now, this refers to the basic product. Here, the focus is on the purpose for which the product is intended or created. Let's say you talk about a 7-star hotel, a 5-star hotel, a 3-star hotel. It could be a lodge, it could be a dormitory. All I'm looking for is a place to rest. Maybe there are other features which are there in it. The second level is to do with the generic product. This represents all the qualities of a product. See, I would say that if I want an adequate rest, what are the things I require? I don't need any disturbances. I mean, I shouldn't be infested with mosquitoes. I mean, the room must be pleasant. There are certain things which would induce me to get proper sleep. I mean, I've paid for that service, but I don't get anything, which means the one who's the service provider is lacking the generic product. The next thing is, as a consumer, I have certain expectations. When I get into a hotel, probably I would seek if I can get a spa, I can get hot water, there is room service, or I can get some bed coffee. I mean, there are certain things I would tell. And if I'm new to that place there, probably I can get a pick and drop from the airport to the hotel there, or for sightseeing, or information about tourism. These are all the expectations that I would look for. The next level is the augmented level. That is the fourth level that you have in the product. And here we talk about the additional factors that set a product which is there from the competitors. That is the brand identity, the image I create for the product there. So the thing is, when people buy, I mean, this is where you look at buying something which is generic and buying something which is branded. So there are additional factors which are there, which goes about with setting competition apart. So that is the augmented level. The next level is the potential product. You know, when people travel abroad, they say that they get a jet lag. They are in the flight for around 24 hours, 48 hours. As somebody who has traveled from India to Australia down under, or as somebody who has left India and been to America in the recent past, they say that there has been a jet lag. Now, what if in the course of plane, they provide me a massage, they provide me a spa, or they go about with giving me facilities which will reduce fatigue or tiredness? I can immediately get to my work the moment I land, and I don't complain that I have a jet lag, I need rest for 3 or 4 days. Probably there are very few airline services which are offering, but that's something which is going to happen in future. See, I use a television, I have a remote, but let's say somebody creates through telepathy that what is there in my mind, which channel I want to watch, automatically gets changed on my television screen. Now that is what I call it as a potential or a future product. That product doesn't exist anymore. And this is something which goes about with, I mean, a potential product wherein there is a need, but the product doesn't exist in the market and someone is working for it. So we said what product levels are. So we say at the core, you have the core product, generic, expected, augmented, and potential. So these are the 5 levels that are there in the product. Now the next thing is about product hierarchy. We look at each product is related with other products. The product hierarchy stretches from basic needs. We can identify there are 7 levels of a product that are there. That is the need family. Let's take the example of insurance. I mean, what is that somebody looking for? Life, non-life. Then there is product family. I mean, there is a whole gamut of services which LIC would offer. Then we talk about product class. I mean, there is something like people have some functional coherence. I mean, I'd look at it at an investment vehicle or tax saving vehicle. What are the different product lines that are there? Life, non-life. Then there is product type that I have. It could be an endowment policy, money back policy. And here I'm associating the brand, which is LIC that you have, and the product item. Let us say I'm thinking about a child policy. I'm looking for a Jeevan Shri. So I tried listing what a product hierarchy is. It has got a need family, a product class, a product line, a product type, a brand, and a product item. And you also have to understand the classification of products. Now, there are products which you and I buy, and the products which industries buy. And basically, when you look at consumer products, we classify them as convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, and unsought goods. Conveniences, we don't travel much, we don't spend a lot of energy to buy them, we don't do a lot of search, so we call it a staple, emergency, impulse. Check anytime you have been to one of the convenience stores, the chocolates are kept at the cash counter. You don't go plan to buy those products. At the time when the person is about to give change, your eye falls on that product. You say, give me that gum or give me that chocolate, keep the change. These are impulse, unplanned kind of buying that you do. And shopping goods is where you travel, you search, you evaluate, and when price is the deciding factor, you call it homogeneous shopping goods, and when quality is the deciding factor, we call it heterogeneous shopping goods. Then there are specialty goods. I told about branded and unbranded. So when you buy branded, you call it specialty. And when somebody says that, are you willing to buy a tombstone when you're alive? Or why don't you take a life insurance policy? Or why don't you buy encyclopedias, the physical ones that are there? Not normally people will buy that. I wouldn't be like to be reminded of my death when I'm alive. And people say when a person talks about life insurance, they run 1 kilometer because they don't want to be reminded of death when they're alive. Now these goods come under the unsought goods. And industrial goods, if you look at, they are goods which are classified as to how businesses buy to meet their requirements that are there. It could be installations, maybe machinery, buildings, furniture, fixtures, accessories that are used that are there. I mean, there could be raw material. It could be natural raw material or processed raw material. They may buy some components, spare parts and other things there. There could be some supplies. We call it MRO, that is manufacturing resources and supplies that are there. And when goods are purchased which have a lifespan which is much longer, the classification is dividing them into durable and non-durable. And things which get consumed very fast, probably we also call them as fast-moving consumer goods there. Now services. Now they are intangible. How do you distinguish a service from a good? I mean, it's very easy to do it. 4 eyes. Services can't be touched, felt, sensed. They're called intangible. You can't separate a service provider from a service receiver. So we talk about inseparability. You talk about inventory. I mean, services cannot be stored. If I can't buy this pen, somebody else will buy it from a vendor. But service, if I can't give you a service now, I lose an opportunity to give a service. So I talk about 4 I's that are there is intangibility, inseparability, inventory, and inconsistency. It's easier to remember. How do you distinguish a good from a service? So what is a new product? I mean, you say newness, you say something of novelty. Now a new product, is it new to the world? Is it new to the existing product line? Is it an addition to the existing product line? Or is it a modification or an improvement of an existing product line? Or are you trying to reposition the existing product line with a new advertisement, new color, new packaging kind of a thing? Or you're trying to reduce the costs and make it more viable? There could be different options when you call a new product. Now there are different stages that you should know. What are the stages in the development of a new product? First thing is, how do you get the ideas for a new product? Once you receive ideas, how do you screen the ideas? How do you develop the concept of the product there? How do you test it? How do you develop a marketing strategy? How do you analyze, like if I introduce this product or service, what would be the competition? How do I price it? What would be my promotion? What would be my distribution? I do the business analysis. I test the product. I go about with working it on a few people. Then I go about with full-scale commercialization. So idea generation, I can get ideas through customers, through stockists, through dealers, through competitors. The company may have its own sales force, through advertisement agencies, through suppliers, through vendors, top management, consultants. The company's own employees can come out with ideas. There are different sources of getting ideas. And I wish that students focus on certain methods, like there is something called as an brainstorming session, which is given by Alex F. Osborne. He talks about how do you generate ideas. There is something called as problem analysis. So when you understand the problem, half the problem gets solved. So you try developing a product for that. Or you do attribute listing. You know, what are the characteristics of the existing product? What is not available in it? How do you develop a product which can include to meet the needs of the customers there? Then you would do post force field analysis. That is several objects, considering how do you relate this with this. You see, a mobile has got so many apps in it. It goes about, probably you don't look at your watch, you look at your mobile, because there is this aspect of watch in it. You don't use an extra camera because taking photos, that feature is already there in a mobile phone. Now these kind of things come through forced relationship. Or it could be through morphological analysis. You try to construct relevant dimensions which could make a combination of different, you call it 5 in 1, 7 in 1 kind of a thing there. Or I would ask the students to look into an acronym, how to generate ideas. They said there is an acronym called SCAMPER. which stands for you substitute. See, like there are places where tamarind can be substituted with tomatoes or with kokum or something of that kind. Or you combine a few things, or you adapt yourself. You eat Chinese food here, but you adapt it to the Indian palate, or you modify, or you magnify, or you meet the purpose, or certain things are not being used, you eliminate it, you minimize that, or you rearrange and start doing reverse thinking. These are the different methods of getting idea for a new product. In screening, what we do is we would have had plenty of ideas, but we'll start critically evaluating them based on the vision, mission of the company, the objectives. Are they compatible with the customers? Will it create constraints? Based on it, we go about with screening the ideas. So you may start off with 1,000 or 100 ideas, then you start zeroing it upon 10, then 3, then ultimately you come down to 1 and say, this is a brilliant one and we'll have to implement that. So you'll have to develop a concept. You have an idea, you'll have to go about with trying to work out a prototype. You'll have to build a model. So you'll have to test those things there. And then you'll have to develop a marketing strategy. What would be the 4 Ps? How do you do the segmenting, targeting, positioning? What would be the sales for that? What would be the market share? Like you are a leader, you're a challenger, you're a follower, you're a niche player. What could be the profit goals that you set? So you'll have to prepare a detailed plan, and this comes in the marketing strategy stage. The next thing is you outline as to how long will the sales go on. I mean, what would be the 4 Ps? These things come under it. So how would you do the packaging, the branding? I mean, if your idea is very unique, you don't want your competitors to copy it. So you get into patenting, and how do you communicate through advertisements and other things. So you also do a business analysis wherein you'll try figuring out what are the new processes for the product development, and you will find out the major steps that are involved in terms of demand, in terms of cost, in terms of profitability. So this is the business analysis step. So the next one is product development. So you will get the things of the previous learning in the various other stages. You will give it to your R&D department, and they would go about with creating a product. So one area this should be market driven. It should meet the expectations of the consumers. So product development is a very important step that you have there. Test marketing. Once you have developed a product, you don't go for a full-fledged commercialization. You test it on a few people. You give it as an offer. You ask them like what is right, what is wrong, and if you think that it should be an ideal product, what else can be added or what can be deleted, what can be modified. You take opinion of a few people, and based on that, you incorporate the suggestions and changes, and then you get to the next stage, which is called as commercialization. So the objectives of test marketing is basically to evaluate a complete marketing plan, including advertising, distribution, sales, pricing, and it is about you determine what is your media mix. I mean, will you give it on a newspaper or whatever thing that are there, on what channel will you do it, and how do you forecast the sales volume. So commercialization is the last step that you have when it comes like you take it to everybody and the formal launch of a new product is done. And it's important that you consider the timing of the launch, where do you launch it, where do you have the target market, and what are the strategies that you will use to introductory part of the product there. So after looking into the various stages of the new product development, let's quickly look into what are the reasons. Why do new products fail? Now, there were a lot of the studies which were done by Cundiff and Still, which is mentioned in your material as well. They say the product has got some intricate problems there. The distribution channels didn't live up to the expectations. I mean, promotion was not appropriate. Probably you overpromised and you underdelivered. Probably the pricing was an issue. People have different ways of looking. Whether the quality is high when the price is high, or when the product is cheap, the quality is low in it. The timing of going for the issue of the product. Probably if it was pandemic and people didn't have money, people were losing jobs, there you introduce a product, it would fail. So you couldn't estimate properly the strength of the competitor's product. That could be another reason why there could be a product failure. I mean, there are research which says that why products fail are you have inadequate market analysis. You didn't do a proper PEST or PESTLE, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and ethical analysis. There are intricate problems with your product, the cost is very high, poor timing of introducing, the way your competitors react, there is insufficient efforts in your marketing, inadequate sales force who couldn't promote it well, or there is a weakness in the distribution. So these days there's a lot of startups and entrepreneurship. They come out with latest products and services. If they can very well understand what are the deficiencies or why do new products fail, their products can be successful. If you undo the mistakes, probably you are doing a better launch. So all in all, in this unit, we learned what a product is, what a service is, what are the stages in a new product introduction, how do you generate different ideas, what is the classification of products.